Revenge films.
Before I met my current husband, I divorced my ex-husband who had an affair. When my mother and sister found that out, "You simply weren't attractive enough. You can't blame him." "Your sister is right. That would never happen to her." They laughed at me. My sister has been married to a man who has had a regular job for many years. My mother was always on my sister's side because she's been my mother's favorite. Everything was my fault to them. Trying to have some distance from them, I moved into a smaller apartment the next town with my child and worked and raised her as a single mother. I received some child support, which needed to be more. Then it stopped coming in later, and there was no way to find out what had happened to it. It was tight, but I kept going for my little daughter. Then one day, I met my current husband. I couldn't have a full-time job while raising my child, so I chose a part-time job at a store where I could decide my hours, and at a local restaurant. My husband was a regular customer at the store, and we started to say hi, and eventually he asked me out. I still hadn't recovered from my divorce yet, and for the sake of my child, I couldn't make myself move forward with him. But he said he would never be unfaithful, and he would raise my daughter as his own. He even said that he didn't mind raising my daughter as his only child, and he didn't mind not having his biological daughter if that would make me feel better. I was moved by his words and said yes to his proposal. He was a truly nice person who my first-grade daughter adores. It didn't take long to get us to the wedding bell. Then he told me for the first time that he was the son of a company president and he was promised to take over the position one day. When we went to meet his parents at their estate, they were surprisingly nice people who had a nice life. They let us stay in one of the apartments they owned, and from then on, my life as a single mother changed dramatically. But my husband was down to earth. There was nothing for me to worry about. I don't know how they found out about my remarrying, but my mother and sister, who offered no help when I was a struggling single mother, came back into my life. They would show up when my husband was at work, insisting on visiting. "How come you never told us about your remarrying?" "It's unthinkable. We are your family." They started showing up regularly for no good reason. They would hang out in our large living room, and when they left, there were always some large bags in their hands. "Oh, I forgot to buy some rice and meat." "Look at this purse. Oh, it's so pretty. It'll look better on me. It suits me." They did whatever they felt like. I could call the police, but I didn't want to make a scene and bother my husband. I didn't want him to know that I had such shameful people in my family. Besides, I was afraid of how he would react to it. He's such a kind and generous person. He may well accept them as his family, no matter how shameful their behaviors were. I knew they would try to push the limit and escalate. Another thing I couldn't stand was that they totally ignored my daughter. They came to steal stuff, and that was all there was. My daughter is their family, but she was regarded like nobody. They were showing up almost daily, but that stopped suddenly. I felt relieved, but at the same time, I had an eerie feeling. As if it was confirmed, my phone rang. It was my sister. "Hey, guess where we are now? In Hawaii!" She said that she was on vacation in Hawaii along with her husband and our mother. I doubted her husband could afford a trip to Hawaii for 3 adults. As if she heard me, my sister said, "I know you're wondering how we could afford this. I borrowed your credit card the other day." "What? Did you take my credit card? I can't believe it." "Why not? You hit a jackpot. We are entitled to a little bit of what you got. We know you were hiding it. Don't be so cheap." When we got married, my husband handed me a credit card with a large amount of credit line. I got scared and reached for my wallet. But my card is here. Huh? It's here with me, in my purse. Did you check the name on it? What? You've got to be kidding me. I'm sure I took your card out of your wallet and put mine back. Then, a minute later, what happened? Why is my card in here? They were screaming on the other side of the phone. I had no clue what was going on. Listening to my conversation, my daughter came up to me and solved the mystery. I told my sister what happened, who was still panicking. Looks like my daughter fixed things. What are you saying? So I explained to her clearly. When they visited us last time, my daughter found my sister's purse and belongings lying on the floor. Being clumsy, my sister would just push the cards and receipts together in and outside the wallet. Being organized, my daughter put them back one by one in the wallet. She found my credit card among them. I always use my card for daily use, and my daughter could recognize the name on it. She rightfully put my card back in my wallet when she found my sister's card. My daughter put it back in my sister's wallet. Finally realizing what happened, my sister yelled at me. You must be joking. Was I using my card all this time? Do you have any idea how much we spent on it? That's not my concern. You spent your money on your credit card, which is nothing strange. I'm going to praise my daughter. I can't believe it. We bought so many things and stayed in a suite. This is your fault. You'll pay for this. Like I said, you used your money on your credit card. No one would see it as strange, and certainly it won't be my responsibility to pay for it, no matter who you talk to. I heard my mother screaming and my sister and her husband yelling at each other. I didn't need this mess, so I hung up the phone. Later on, I decided to confess the whole thing to my husband. I told him that I wanted to live somewhere they wouldn't find us. He told his parents about it, and they came up with an idea. My family returned from vacation and didn't waste a minute until they rushed over to our place, where a stranger answered the door. The new tenant called and reported to the police that strangers were screaming at the door. So I explained to them that we moved in with our in-laws. Not surprisingly, they were furious. This will stop their past behaviors for good. My sister spent above the credit limit of $10,000 for the vacation, and her husband divorced her for it. She ridiculed me for getting divorced, but now she's in my shoes. Too bad. She has a long way to go before she pays off all her debt, which I think is just right for them.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.